All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Please welcome the JRTC members from Lincoln High School who will present the colors prior to tonight's pledge.
Present colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Counter. March. March. Left. 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 Right. Left. Left. Forward. March. Left. Ready. Drop.
Thank you. All right. We'll begin this meeting. We have 2 board members absent today, but we still have quorum with board members Ryder and Murin. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held on August 22nd and September 7th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. We do not have anybody wishing to address the board tonight. So we move on to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And on to the good news report.
Yes, I'm going to recognize as they're walking out, I was just going to thank Mr. Chiarello. Mr. Chiarello, come back in so we can thank you for bringing your students over. And we'd love it if you want to have them introduce themselves or if you would like to introduce them. And I think they maybe have some family members who even came tonight. So thank you to parents and families who are waiting out there. Wave if you're a parent of a orchestra student. Yay.
If we could have them start every meeting for us, that was really nice.
Yes.
And I thought it was very apropos that they're playing the entertainer before a board meeting. A little irony there, maybe, Mr. Chiarello? Take it away and introduce your student.
This is the chamber orchestra from Lincoln High School. They meet for 22 and a half minutes a day. It's over the lunchtime. And this group had 6 different members last year.
Oh.
So
Wow.
that's a little scary. So this is Claire Carlson. This is Elle. This is Vanessa. This is Jacob. Josephine. Maggie. And
Help him.
Been there.
Lucian. All right, I know. So, and I want to thank them for coming this early in the school year, going anywhere.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for playing students. That's pretty impressive to bring the entertainer out for your first foray of a performance together. And I always think the parents who are willing to haul around some of the size of instruments that are required by orchestra is pretty impressive too. So we appreciate you being willing to come over, and we'll look forward to hearing your concerts this year. Yes. So thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
And then we also have our JFROTC group, and I would love it if you would come up and introduce yourself and your students for us as well.
Yes, ma'am. Who we have is part of our drill team. We do approximately 60 to 70 hours a year, and we pour in that. We have Dad Nelson, Ted Nero, Kevin Abbott, who returned from San Diego, brother of Fred.
Great.
And then Crosby and then
Well, we are so proud of you, and we love seeing you when you're at our different events and our games, and so we're so glad that you could come and be here tonight. And you missed the camera when you took the flags out, so good job. Those are very tall flags, so thank you for coming. And this is all part of the Good News Report, which Dr. Rader is here to present. And I dare say she has set the bar a little higher for our other high schools who are still to come. So noted, Dr. Rader. Board members, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you. I didn't realize everyone was going to be like leaving right away. So I was waiting to say my thank yous till the end of the Good News Report. But thank you for being here tonight and for presenting and playing your wonderful music. We really appreciate you being here tonight. So thank you. Now you may go home. If Dr. Rader says it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you to the Sioux Falls School Board members and for the invitation to talk about the Lincoln Patriots. I also want to thank our members of the Chamber Orchestra for the music prior to the meeting under the direction of Dr. Shirillo, and our Marine Corps JROTC students for presenting the colors for the pledge. Our JROTC Marine Corps had over 22 hours of volunteer service in the Sioux Falls community last year, and they had 75 color guards last school year. So thank you to Sergeant Major Scott Backen for all that, his time.
2,200
Correct.
hours. Good, okay, we just
Sorry.
want to
2,200.
clarify.
As you'll see, these programs are two of many opportunities we have at Lincoln High School to develop and inspire our students. Our mission is that all students can learn at high levels. We have systems and people in place to make certain this happens. As Abraham Lincoln, our namesake, stated, "I am a success today because I had a friend who believed in me, and I didn't have the heart to let him down." Lincoln Patriots carry on this sentiment today. Since 1965, Lincoln has been educating members of the Sioux Falls community. Although the building has had additions and the exterior has gone under many changes, one constant has been the quality people who make Lincoln their home. We are unique because of our students and staff who make up the Patriot family. We currently have 1,865 students at Lincoln and 195 staff members who work as teachers, counselors, clerical, educational assistants, food service workers, custodians, and all other related services. The adults work to provide an academic environment that is inclusive of all learners. We have 1,575 advanced placement enrollments in classes being taken by Lincoln students. We offer 21 AP courses, advanced placement courses, with teachers who have master's degrees or higher teaching the classes. Our students have a 78% success rate on AP tests. We had 11 National Merit finalists, and I anticipate that number will increase this year. We are the Spanish Immersion High School and offer courses in Spanish to students so they can continue their Spanish and language development that they started in elementary school. We also have a 30-minute period during the day for students to work on homework, get support from teachers, and participate in enrichment activities. This time is called WIN, What's Important Now. WIN helps students to manage their time and focus on their priorities. While helping students develop the lifelong skill of time management, students begin to develop priorities and focus on what they need to be successful in school. Academics goes hand in hand with activities in high school, and we have courses that are co-curricular. This means that the course has out-of-school and in-school course requirements. JROTC and orchestra are two examples. Our fine arts department, which would be band, choir, orchestra, along with theater, debate, oral interp, yearbook, and the Statesman, our student newspaper, give opportunities for students to pursue their passion outside the school day, as well as earn high school credit. We have 832 students who participate in a co-curricular class. Now that's 832 students who give back to the LHS community in school by sharing their talents. Additionally, we have 47 different clubs designed by and for Lincoln students. Our Patriots create a club based on a common interest and develop projects that benefit the students of Lincoln High School. Along with the co-curricular participation, we have 1,051 students who wear a Lincoln uniform to represent us in a competitive athletic event. These 1,051 students and their coaches put in countless hours to support our student athletes in developing skills and character. Students work through the summer and off-season to hone their skills. Abraham Lincoln believed, as we do, that some achieve great success is proof that all others can achieve it as well. We believe that all our students can achieve at high levels in the classroom, in fine arts, and in athletic events and life. At Lincoln, history has proven this true. I invite members of the school board and the Sioux Falls community to join us at a concert, game, play, match, meet, and any other event where Lincoln is present to observe our Lincoln Patriots in action. Our students strive to be their best and, like Abraham Lincoln, won't let their school or community down. Go Pats.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nice work.
I think, well, I'm a little biased because I have kids that go to Lincoln, but I'm a Roosevelt graduate and my husband's a Washington graduate, so Lincoln's a little new to us, but I feel like, and it's true for a lot of high schools, but I just love the spirit that even like graduates from 10, 20, 30 years ago, they still are so proud of the education that they got. They still, you can see they come back to lots of different events that they participated in and want to support them. And I think that that is a big indicator of how they felt when they were there, which was obviously a positive experience. And so it gives them those same positive experiences to come back and celebrate that with the students who are participating now. And so I think that's a great, obviously a great asset to the school itself, and it speaks loudly about the teachers and the administration and the support staff that are there, that people still years later have that connection, you know, after college or after working or whatever it is. And so I think that's what we hope for all of our schools, whether it's an elementary, you know, and we love to see high school kids going back to their elementaries and celebrating how far they've come. And it's great to see, you know, college students or beyond coming back and really supporting their high school because of the experience that they had there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't say it better than Carly just did. So, and also biased because my two boys also go to Lincoln. So, but you know, I've got a freshman and a senior, so I've seen it all and experienced the new and starting to experience that senior year, and couldn't be more proud of what's going on at Lincoln, just like all of our high schools. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on, we do not have any new conflicts of interest. So we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
So move, or second, sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Question for Mr. Deeg.
You two can vote.
We can, okay. All right, we've got supplemental consent agenda, items 10A and B, and C, claims to Sanford. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that passes with one abstention from Board Member Ryder. And moving on to the reports of the superintendent.
We have a couple of reports tonight. The first is one that we always wait for to see what we think our indicators are going to look like as we head towards that final count that will come later this month. And so Doug Morrison is here tonight to share with us what some of those numbers look like as we continue to refine and get to that final count. So I'll turn it over to you, Doug.
Good evening, Board. My pleasure tonight to present the 2022-23 initial enrollment report. The purpose of the report tonight is just to report out where we sit on the fourth day of school. That's traditionally where we report, so we can kind of see year over year where we're at, knowing that there's still some moving parts out there, but this is probably materially correct. And so we'll just start with the overall numbers here. And again, we're comparing to the fourth day of last year too. So we're comparing the same both periods. You can see K through 5, we're up about 139 students. 6th through 8th grade, we're down about 74. and 9th through 12th or high school, we're up about 129. So right now, we're tracking at just under 200 students over where we were at the same point in time last year. Pre-K down a little bit. Talked to Elizabeth a little bit about that, and we've got a couple classes out at Hayward where we've had a challenge finding teachers, but so there is some of that as far as that being down, and we'll see if that moves back up. And then junior kindergarten, always hard to get a gauge on that one. That one's down a little bit year over year, but all in all, good growth in the K through 12 area. Looking at sort of historically where we've been, you can see we were on a nice trend up until the COVID year, and then we had a movement downward. And then last year we had a growth of about 121 actual to actual. And this year, if you look at it, just our prelim numbers over where we ended up finally last year, we're up about 300, but we'll know that we'll lose some kids that we've planned for enrollment for, but they haven't shown up. And we give them about 15 days, and then eventually we drop them. And so they wouldn't be in the September count. At the same time, we have kids that show up, maybe around Labor Day or something like that. So we have some growing that way too. So I suspect that we'll end up a little bit lower than the prelim numbers, but we'll probably still be a couple hundred over where we were for the final point last year. Looking at, by grade, it's kind of how the cohorts track through. I always look at the important one we look at as a kindergarten class. So as of the 4th day, we were at 1971, so almost to that 2000 mark. And then I looked at this morning, and we were up at about 1984. So we've had another dozen or 13 kindergartners show up between day 4 and today, so that's a good sign. And then you can see one big item is we had that low kindergarten class last year, and so or the 2 years ago, which would be the second grade class last year. So that's but we're back up to that 2000 mark, so it's like where we like to see it. If we look at it from a by school perspective, I would point out Renberg, much higher than last year, so we see a lot of growth down by the area over kind of by Jefferson, STI in there that we bus up to Renberg, so a lot of growth over in that area. And then Rosa Parks is one that we continue to watch, so they are up quite a bit too. So we continue to watch that east side as a team. We met today to look at some of that to see what's happening there. When we did the original boundaries, when we built the new middle and high school, we know that there was about another 15% or so, to come on that east side and growth. And so we're just kind of looking at how that plays out and make sure we react to that. Middle school, you'll see, is stayed remarkably stable. Those numbers from year to year, very stable. And in high school, you can see the change there with Jefferson now having, a full senior class or 4 classes. You can see that they are up 200, and those came from the Lincoln and Roosevelt area primarily. So I think all in all, we achieved what we wanted to there. You see high schools now in the 1,800 range. So I think everything has been on track there as far as what we've seen there. The official count for enrollment that the state will take is the last Friday of the month, which this year will be September 30th. So we'll continue to monitor between now and then, and we'll report back to you with the official enrollment, which will drive our funding and whatnot from there. So with that, I would ask you to acknowledge the fall 2022 initial report and stand by for questions.
Thanks, Doug. Any questions?
I'm just imagining how it feels to be a Roosevelt student or staff member and have 500 less people in the building than there were a couple of years ago, and like just how that must feel walking through the, so what a great, I love the balance of that. And it's, I mean, we're not surprised, but it's also kind of fun to look and see how Jefferson really has thrived, and people are going there and excited about it. And they're actually I guess they're the 3rd biggest, but, you know, for year two, that's a lot of students to fill that building, but that's great because that's what they need to have their programs running and their classes running at full capacities. And that's always a concern, I think, when you open a new school, is people are, is what I want going to be available? And certainly they have the numbers to have whatever they need to be available, just like any other high school. So good, solid numbers for growth too, so that's good.
Anything else? All right, seeing nothing else, can I get a motion and a second to approve the initial enrollment report?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes.
And second report is Mr. Veek with our budget wrap-up, taking a look at the final picture.
Thanks. Okay, great. Yeah, so this is the wrap-up for the year that just ended in June, fiscal year 22. It's a long haul from when it began. We started budgeting for it in 2020, in December of 2020. And so this is pretty much the last report until we get the audit report from the outside group. So just look through this, try to kind of go quickly through it. First of all, we're talking about our tax-supported funds, general fund, capital outlay, special ed, bond redemption. I suppose sooner or later we can take pension off this because it was eliminated several years ago, but it's finally ran down to zero last year, I think. So in the general fund, these are our revenues were budgeted at 200 million. Our actuals were 203. So we were 3 million to the good in revenues in the general fund. And most of that is just the spending of the ESSER funds, and we went through them a little bit faster than maybe we had anticipated originally. So that's mostly we were actually down a little bit on our enrollment, as Doug just talked about. So we came in a little bit low on that, but the overall revenues were better than projected. Capital outlay, we budgeted 45. The actual was just 42.5. That has more to do with whether ESSER funds got spent out of capital outlay or general fund. And there was less in capital outlay than we had planned for a year and a half ago or whatever, or, you know, so that it was there. Special ed, they got ESSER funds available to them. That is just like same rules as IDEA, and the state said, you're gonna spend your ESSER funds first. So that money gets spent there, and that's that extra $1 million, basically accounts for that. And then the bond redemption fund is just us paying off the bonds we passed in 2018. And there's just a little variation when the taxes get collected. So we're about $101,000 short on that. Expenditures, the general fund, we came in about $1.9 million to the good on expenditures. We usually hope to come into the good. We don't want to be long usually. So we're at 99.1%, which is kind of a comfortable number to be at. Capital outlay, it was a lot less. It has to do with Jeff Kreider's projects and whether we use bond funds for them or capital outlay funds. We said use the bond funds first. So he spent less there than we had anticipated. So that accounts for a lot of that variance there. Special education fund came in at 95.7, which is really nice. They're actually trying to have fewer, and you've heard reports over the years on that, have fewer out-of-district placements than we have in the past, and we're starting to reap the rewards from that. And so their expenditures, they only came in at under 96%, and that's great. Bond redemption, it's just kind of the timing of the money there, and when it arrives, or when we spend it, actually. So we had a variance of 5.29 million, but we spent more than that amount in August, right after the year had ended. So that explains that. And then probably the important part, how did we come in under or over on each of these funds? General fund, we came in to the good at 310,000. We had budgeted 4.6, but we used more ESSER funds to fund salary increases and whatnot that had been regularly budgeted. So that's what accounted for that. So we had predicted when we prepared our budget this year that we would be right about zero, and we were real close to that just because of we could use those federal funds to help fund salary increases we did to maintain our our workforce throughout the year. Capital outlay, what I told you was the case there with Jeff's projects. It basically accounted for that. So we had a nice positive variance of 11.4. Our revenues over expenditures. SPED, same deal, came in under and revenues were high. We talked about both those, 2.5 million. And the bond redemption, we budget to spend it all. We had to kick up our amount and like I said, to have money in the bank for that August 1 payment. And so that's what you're looking at there. That's why that variance was high there. Just kind of a wrap up where our fund balances look like, our unobligated fund balances. General fund, we're at 10.9% or $22 million, slightly a little higher. We said we'd probably come in even. We just ended a little bit higher than that. So at $22 million, at 10%, the state allows 25. We're nowhere near what the state would allow. Capital outlay, our fund balance is fairly big because of what I just described with Jeff's projects. So that our unobligated fund balance is about what it was the year before. We did obligate some of that money he didn't spend for future projects that we know are on his project list, so that money doesn't get lost in the wash here. So that's what's going on. That SPED, they have a decent fund balance as well because of that extra federal revenue they got. They're at 20.7. They're allowed 25% as well. So a little, getting closer to the 25, but we're well under where we need to be. And then bond redemption, I've already talked about it several times. We had a huge fund balance of 125%, but we needed that money in the bank because we had that $6 million bond payment in August. So we actually dipped a little negative after we made that payment. Last but not least, on our report, and you can always see it, that when they meet with the legislature, the Department of Ed, they look at is our teacher compensation where it's supposed to be relative to where it was. So we grew 2.3% last year on that. And what happens is we actually had hoped, if every teacher had stayed in the district, it would have been 3.15. And then we also raised the starting pay from a little under 38 to 41. So it would have been actually over that. But when teachers leave, they generally get replaced with a teacher that makes less money. Someone that's making 60,000 might leave and get replaced by someone that makes 41,000. So we call that the teacher delta in short form. So that's what drags that down a little bit. Of course, this year we raised that starting pay again up to 46. So that delta will shrink and shrink and shrink. So the number will be closer to what we actually put onto the salary schedule as if every teacher had stayed. So we were at 2.3% last year. Total compensation, which is the number that the state really cares about, only went up 0.9 because the last year we did really well on our insurance going into 22. In 22, we didn't do as well, but going into 22, we were doing well. We didn't increase the insurance side of it. So, and that's our biggest single benefit that we have a cost for. So that's what drug that down a little bit lower than the average teacher's salary. So our number, I know a little asterisk there, our number we have to be at is 68,432. And obviously we're well above that. And then the average, the target teacher salary for the state, that was at 52,600. It went up 2.4%. We are obviously quite a bit higher than that. So that's part of the state aid report. So I throw it on here because that shows you where we're at regarding that. So real quick, that was our wrap up of the 2022 budget, and we would just ask that you acknowledge the report. On that, it says 21, should be 22. On the 22 budget wrap up. Sometimes we use slides from one to the next. I forget to change the number.
Just a minor typo.
Any questions?
Any questions for Todd? Good budget wrap up. We spend a lot of time talking about budget, and we'll be starting to talk about next year's budget coming up here soon. So it's just it's a process that we go through every year, and just appreciate the wrap up for today. So thank you. All right. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the FY '22 budget wrap-up?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That motion passes. All right, we now need to move into executive session per South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 2. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. All right, we'll move into executive session. Thank you.